Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, let me go back over that. Welcome to another episode of Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. We deal with sexual, we deal with neglect, we deal with child exploitation, bullying, abandonment, different kinds of abuse here. Bringing awareness. And if anyone that is here, please hit the thumbs up. And thank you so much. I'm so glad that y'all let me know that. I was talking for a little while and didn't know. I really do appreciate y'all. All right, this guy, y'all had heard Blackstone lawyer talking about Francis Shelden. If y'all remember that, as being one of the people that hung around, that knew um, John Bennett Ramsey. See, Bennett Ramsey, that's where John Bonet got her name from her dad, John Bennett, John Bonet. Without further ado, first I'm going to show y'all something weird about his grave, find a grave site. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to share the screen and then I'll share the paperwork. And I found all this information today, and I'm going to try to do entire screen. Okay. Well, we'll get down here, put it right here. Make sure that the entire screen. And I also want to promote my friend. This is Carol D. Levine. She was in here the other day. She does not get any proceeds from this book, but this does tell her story. Panic Child, a harrowing true story of sexual abuse and neglect. The traumas of childhood neglect and sexual abuse cannot be left behind when victims mature into adults. Too often, those adults repeat the crimes once perpetrated against them, depend on substances to dull the pain of memory, or choose partners similar to the adults who once abused them. Is there a way out of this darkness? Carol D. Levine, in her heartrending and yet hopeful memoir, Panic Child, reveals her childhood of parental neglect, sexual abuse, and the stranger who raped her, and her ascent from the depths of this terrible childhood to a life of service to children who suffered their own nightmares. The strong and steady voice of author Levine is the most powerful reminder that nobody is obliged to repeat the sins of those who harmed us, and that with support and a will to overcome trauma, we can heal from the deepest wounds and live loving, healthy, productive lives. Let me get over here a little bit to the left right here. Carol D. Levine, Panic Child, a harrowing true story of sexual abuse and neglect. Without further ado, let's get to here is his find grave, Francis Duffield Frank Shelden. I noticed that at first I misspelled it with an O-N, and on here I was able to fix it on YouTube, but at Facebook I wasn't. So it says that he actually died in the Netherlands. That was his fake death. He did a fake death, people. I kid you not. And over here, this is going to be part of the literature that we go over. So he actually came to the United States, where he actually died in the United States. Kind of funny how somebody can be zombies like that, right? So he attended Millbrook Preparatory School in New York, graduated from Yale with a bachelor's degree in 1950. Activities at Yale: track, tennis, skiing, dramatics, community service, literary magazine, yearbook, glee club, squash, and student council. Graduated with a master's in geology from Wayne State University. Took classes towards a doctorate in geology. Served in the Michigan Air National Guard, ran oil and real estate businesses. That is married to Aileen Giselle Gubby, and that was his parents' names. If anybody wanted to do further research on to see whether or not it was just a family tradition. And then somebody's got right here, Google North Fox Island crimes, and you'll find out who Francis was. Okay? Yes, he's affiliated with North Fox Island. So here we go, and let me present the PDF. Oh, the first PDF one. It said that lot of times, see how many pages that the FBI had deleted? And of course, there's going to be redacted selections section in here. So here it goes. With Francis Duffield Shelden, fugitive, UFAP, sexual criminal conduct in Detroit. Location of property or bulky extent is bulky for investigative assistance. So we're going to get past this part. That's not the part that's really startling. This is a at St. Clair Post 23 and date of supplementary report. I'm sorry that it's grainy, but that's just the way it is when I had downloaded it. But again, apologies. It says Shelden, Traverse City newspaper called his cottage in Aspen, Colorado. Who else did we know that lived in Colorado? Who died in Colorado? John Bonet, right? Also, that J. Ramsey, which is John Ramsey's father, had built the landing strip to North Fox Island. That's what kind of business he was in. He helped do airports and stuff. So it said it's staying at Majorca Island off Spain. Let's see that. I think this is where he talked to the housekeeper, and the housekeeper said he's staying in Majorca Island off of Spain. Also advised that he learned of one Charlevoix youth who had recently received a letter from Shelden, postmarked in Miami, Florida. So how could he be in Spain and then he sent a letter to one of these boys? One of these boys. Sick guy, sicko. And it's postmarked Miami, Florida. It said it's received a call from such and such on December the 15th, 1976. Shelden submitted a resignation stating no one be gone for a long time in October. Okay. Never made a something pending. I can't hardly read some of this right here. Can you see that right here where my mouse is? I can't depict that word right there. Shelden sent him a follow-up letter. This letter's postmarked this time in Guernsey, New Jersey. Interesting, huh? Advised that he got a call from California advising that it's moved on to the state of Washington with no further address. He had made an application to Big Brothers in California. This pedophile. I hope it never got accepted. That's all I got to say to that. Was first interviewed, he advised the blank officers, it's redacted, that these boys and the parents are da-da-da. They questioned the boys about the trip ever since, who announced to the paper she suspects that something may have happened. However, the boys deny the events. Of course, they're going to deny it a lot of times when they're younger. They're afraid to tell. They think they're nasty. And plus, it might have been warned. Now, even though I don't know too much affiliation between that Lindsay, Ramsey, but see it says Gordon Lindsay. Um, Also received a copy of a nonprofit corporation 1975 listed Brother Paul's Children's Missions Incorporated, located at 1115 Lynn Street, Port Huron. Gordon Lindsay, and that was in Marina City. Look who it says the director is, Francis D. Shelden, Ann Arbor, Michigan. So, wow. The report also lists a failure to make required nonprofit report as required, to check the bank and the Michigan National Bank in Port Huron. The Brother Paul's Children's Missions Incorporated had a checking account listed. The account never had a deposit over $150, and the bank considers it as a slow business type account. There was no record of any large notice deposited. The account was recently closed by the bank, no as charged off with less than $1 overdraft. And then on check on officers, where officer contacted listed Secretary Gordon Lindsay. We're going to get on further down here. It says how he looks, what he drove back then. Is a bachelor living alone. Lindsay also was contacted at first on December the 15th, 76. Advised an officer's investigation. He advised that he had participated in boy lover type activity, y'all, in the past while in the Army in Europe. However, his only participation now was watching movies and reading books on it. And down here, we're going to show you where the books. So he has never been called to the board meeting until he claims he wasn't. He's never been to North Fox Island or doesn't know Shelden. He claims he don't know him. He claims he don't know him, but he had him as a director. What about it, huh? Well, the Brother Paul's missions had him as that, you know. However, he did not respond and he did not say the request. But anyway, I call that BS. He's not going to admit to knowing somebody he's working with, right? So now here's a reference to Tennessee. Lindsay said he sent $10 donation to the Boys Farm in Tennessee. Y'all remember that? I did that story also on the Boys Farm in Tennessee where they had the pedophilia rings there as well. Well, a couple of times about 5 years ago, which this was a lot of years ago, back in the 70s, he did not get any pornography back. He did get a personal letter that helped him get himself straight. He had been contemplating suicide and told the priest so in a letter. His problems at that time stemmed from a honey job problem, a money job problem. Okay. I'm sorry. I wish the fonts were a lot better and where I could really read the letters a lot better. He is now retired from selling the Great Lakes due to uh, to some bad health. Okay. So pornography. Lindsay gave officer a bag of 12 colored magazines depicting young boys in various homosexual acts. That's in 76. Officer looked through them and can recognize no one. The cops are taken in at the island type of settings. So they're going to be trying to review them and try to figure out who the voice was back in 1976. Okay. So Lindsay gave Officer a box of 18 8mm reels of obscene novice of boys, movies of boys. He purchased during the period prior to 1 to 2 years ago. He can't recall where he got them. However, some were from East and some were from the West Coast. Wow. Movies will be viewed when time permits for potential use as evidence, which y'all know, like I said, this is the FBI's records, okay? Lindsay has largely supply a screw newspaper. I think that's what it says. The list address, Milky Way Productions Incorporated, and that's in Chelsea Station, New York, New York. These papers appeared to be hardcore porns with large advertisement section as to sex products and partners. And looky here, then an XXX magazine from California, hardcore porno. And look at this, books on boys engaged in homosexual activities, published by Timely Books, 519 Acorn Street, Deer Park, New York. Most of the books had markings of OBC, which Overstock Book Corporation or Company, and RME, Richard Model Exclusives. Model, y'all remember how they a lot of times try to get kids, you're going to be a model, and then they do that pornography crap. Y'all know that, right? The St. Clair Post, warrant issued out. Officer had given info. He initiated a new complaint presented in Leelanau County. A warrant was authorized and charging Shelden with second-degree sex conduct on North Fox Island. Undersigned officer was transported to Transfer City on December 17th by an MSP airplane to sign complaint before the 85th District Court. Judge Richard Benedict. Warrant was issued and is being held. Okay. Then it said the package of 12 colored magazines obtained for Gordon were da 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 da. UD14 submitted. He will carry prop of his blank and show to Charlie Bush police officers to ID any young boys depicted. Wow. Let's get on further down. California advised that he had applied for Big Brothers prior to moving to Washington. On that application, he listed a reference of that he lived in New Jersey, and it's not even given application past experience listed in another part of New Jersey. There's Peter Deegan, Port Huron, was contacted by and wanted info on the case. He told her to bring in the warrant before such info would be released, since she didn't know was at the present time, except he may be in California. So that must be. But Shelden was informed that Shelden may be at the Mill Reef Club on Antigua Island in the Caribbean. Subject only reportedly wrote recent letters postmarked Miami and also Kearney, New Jersey. He also has property at Aspen, Colorado. Someone in Aspen, Colorado told that he was in Majorca Island of Spain. He apparently knows a warrant has been issued and he's avoiding it. Okay, he apparently is missing from Ann Arbor Airport, and subject apparently flew it to wherever he is now. Remains open pending investigation and suspects and stuff. So we're going further down. And then this was another thing of October the 8th, 76, October 21st, with young boys being debauched by adult males. So he was in trouble for that. Hey, Cash, good to see you. So it said somebody called headquarters and advised that police in Tennessee had ID'd actors in the photos and executed search warrants and found more evidence of widespread sex deviation and fraud extending to other states and Puerto Rico. The info is being referred to the Franklin County grand jury. The info was carried in a November 11, 76 Detroit Free Press article. Wow. So it goes to stand that that was probably over there at that boys' farm in Tennessee. Obtained warrants. Officers reviewed a case for St. Clair Peter Deegan. He authorized warrant charging Shelden with third-degree criminal sexual conduct. Undersigned signed complaints before Judge Wilbur Ham, Port Huron. And here he is again with it says wanted Francis Duffield Shelden. There's his date of birth right here. Did live at Green Hills Drive, Ann Arbor, and had office at 1956. And this is in Detroit, Texas. Has two license plates registered to him. He wore glasses, which he's dead now, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. Third-degree sexual assault, warrant and post-warrant file, and info entered. This goes to prove what some of the people were saying and debating, saying, no, this couldn't have happened. Okay. So, attempts to locate subjects. He said he called the attorney, was told that Shelden hadn't been seen since August. He doesn't know where he is. Officer also called Shelden, was told the same thing. Shelden did have his plane hangared at Ann Arbor. Okay. Then officer called there and learned that Shelden hadn't been at the airport since September. His plane is gone. Subject used to fly at the Caribbean, also to his winter home in Aspen, Colorado. And then there was a message sent to Aspen, Colorado police for checks for subject. Info was also to refer to the MSP Metro AP detail for a flash to be placed with FAA security on subjects. Okay. We're going further down. Let's see what else. Right here. Here's the opposite of the prosecuting attorney for the county of St. Clair in Port Huron, Michigan. There's where Francis Shelden right here. Dear sirs, I wish to advise you that the above captioned person has been charged with third-degree criminal sexual conduct. A felony, a complaint, and warrant was issued on November the 24th, 1976, in the 72nd Judicial District Court, Port Huron. Defendant fled before he could be arrested and arraigned. We are hereby requesting your office to authorize a fleeing felon complaint and warrant. Should the subject be apprehended, please be assured St. Clair County, Michigan authorities will extradite. Thank you for your assistance and cooperation. I remain very truly yours. Okay. There's a fugitive warrants requested, different articles here. It says by Marilyn Wright, the Transfer City, the prosecuting attorney's office, and St. Clair has requested federal warrants on Francis D. Shelden and Dyer Grossman that would declare them to be fugitives from justice. Charles Rogers, if you hear that, I hope you write down that guy's name also, Dyer Grossman. All right, so State Police Detective Sergeant Joel Gorzin said here today that the prosecutor sent a letter this week to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit requesting his assistance and locate the two men believed to be involved in a nationwide homosexual pornography ring. And whether it's homosexual or not, and you go like this and you rape a kid, and it don't mean it's homosexual. It just means that these grown butt men, these grown monsters, are doing this to boys. It's not homosexual. These are raping boys. I don't care whether it's a boy you rape or a girl you rape. It's rape. Do not put this in there to depict that these boys are homosexual. How dare you? How dare you go and say this kind of thing, okay? So Gordon said the request. Okay, let's see. I'll look at your response in a minute. Gordon said the request for federal intervention was made because Michigan authorities have good reason to believe that Shelden and Grossman have fled the state to avoid prosecutors on criminal sexual conduct charges. A spokesman in the U.S. Attorney's Office said to her knowledge the request has not been authorized yet. Shelden, 48, an Ann Arbor millionaire, is wanted by authorities in St. Clair and Traverse City and 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct involving young boys. Police believe he is also linked to a national network of pornographic activity which took place at various locations, including North Fox Island, which is part of the Leelanau County, and a boys' camp in Tennessee. Allegations involving the island, which Shelden owns, include the use of young boys in various homosexual acts of sodomy, oral sex, and the filming of these acts for use in pornographic material distributed nationally. Police allege the crimes were perpetrated on the island under the guise of Brother Paul's Children's Mission. See, it's a guy from church, Brother Paul. Sheldon's listed as a director of Brother Paul's Grossman. Oh, that's Grossman is listed as vice president. Gerald Richards, president of the mission and director of its alleged homosexual nature camp, is presently serving a 2 to 10 year term at Jackson Prison on criminal sexual conduct charges involving a 10-year-old. Go further up here. Um, let's see, charges against Sheldon involve homosexual acts with the 14-year-old Port Huron boy in Watt City and an 8-year-old Port Huron boy on North Fox Island. Grossman, 35, in New York, is being sought on criminal sexual conduct charges involving a Port Huron boy. Sheldon also is listed as a sponsor of a boys' farm in Alto, Tennessee. The farm, operated by an Episcopal priest, was raided last September, and its director was indicted on 16 separate charges stemming from allegations to homosexual acts involving young boys. Why don't you just put it for what it is? Sodomize them and doing all that, anything sexual that you're doing. Tennessee authorities also have indicated an interest in talking to Sheldon. So that's for that file of that. Let me see. Imagine the amount of paperwork and evidence so much more easily destroyed before computers. Scary it all happened. We are just more aware now and catch more. Like they said, there are like, what's it, 89 or 90 something pages that they had deleted out of this file, too. Well, UK had pedophile information exchange and try to get it legalized. That was around similar times to this. Yeah, very scary. Wow. Thanks for letting me know that because it's important to get this out, even over there. What you were saying in the UK, pedophile information exchange, trying to get trying to get it all legalized. And I can remember being around some of the bad people, and they were saying it was legalized over there. So they had lied to me, did they not? And they said one day it'll be legalized over here. And they're acting like it's legalized over here as bad as it is. I wish to advise you that the above captioned person has been charged with third-degree criminal sexual conduct, a felony, a complaint, and warrant was issued on November 24th, 1976, in the 72nd Judicial District Court, Huron. I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm getting upset about this kind of stuff. Defendant fled before he could be arrested and arraigned. We hereby request your office to authorize the plea and fellow complaint and warrant. Should the subject be apprehended, please be assured St. Clair County, Michigan authorities will extradite. It's just crazy, y'all. So here we go on further down. The Robert E. Kent Special Agent in Charge. This is February 1977. Francis Duffield Shelden. What's going on here now in 77? Dear Mr. Kent, attached, please find a communication from Peter E. Deegan at St. Clair Prosecutor's Office alerting the United States Attorney to the unlawful flight of Francis Duffield Shelden. It is requested that you assign an agent to investigate this matter, and should probable cause exist to believe that an unlawful flight has taken place, to enlist the support of this office in procuring the complaint and warrant for arrest. Excuse me. Please note that an unlawful flight warrant will not be issued by the United States Attorney prior to issuance and receipt of local warrants. Okay, further down, 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 down. And this is where the United States versus Francis Duffield Shelden complained of violation. Yes, it's very sick. Yeah, it's not easy to do at all, but it's necessary. You're right. And the complaint it states that its complaint is based in Detroit and on detective, or I think it's DET, and it's been and then the Michigan State Police St. Clair Post divides the undersigned of the following. Defendant was charged on November the 24th, 76 in St. Clair County District Court for third-degree criminal sexual conduct. Defendant failed to appear for arraignment and fled the state. Judge Wilbur Ham of the 72nd District Court of Fort Huron issued a warrant for his arrest. Investigation by Michigan State Police has established that defendant has not been seen in Ann Arbor since September 1976. Detective Blank has received that the defendant sold his airplane in Utah in December 1976. So guess what? He was still flying around because he's fleeing. The defendant called somebody in Michigan in October 76 and advised that he would be gone for a long time. Defendant sent a follow-up letter, and we go further on down. Wow. Let's get over here to kind of see. So it's like a lien. It's kind of hard to read all that. You know what I mean? So felony warrant for sex assault, entered third degree sexual assault. Felony warrant for homosexual act with a boy, Sheldon Francis Duffield. So extradite will pick up entire state entered NCIC on the in 77 criminal sexual conduct second degree. Well, you can tell. This is where he was no identifiable Michigan record for Sheldon Francis Duffield. Manual search available. What? No identifiable mission record for. Seriously? In Michigan? Okay, so here we go to February 77. Francis Duffield, Sheldon. There we go. Unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, sexual criminal conduct. Bond recommended 200,000 cash or surety. Okay, thank you so much for coming in. Hey, Jack, black powder, prepper. The elementary school and middle school, that one that was a boys. Here in Washington State, they allow gay pride flags in school zones. I don't mean one flag. It's on every street corner on. Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too bad about, I do got my beliefs, and um, but this really just scares me when they go like this and they do this to the kids, and they said homosexual acts. Yeah, they're man, but this is another. Why don't you call it for what it is? You raped a boy. He raped a boy. That's almost like saying to me when they said they caught him in homosexual acts, almost like the boy was willing, okay, was a willing recipient, recipient of being done this way. That's what. upsets me about them saying that, right? And I'm straight anyway. Sexual criminal conduct. For information of receiving officers, subjects have been charged with criminal sexual conduct, which is a felony in the state of Michigan, involving the procurement and sexual activities involving young boys ages 8 through 14 in the Fort Huron and Traverse City, Michigan areas. Local complaints and warrants were issued on 11/24/76. You know what I wonder about the flags, Jack? I mean, why aren't they got the American flag out there? This is America. Why aren't they teaching the people about America, values, about being supportive to our country, there's so many people that fought for our country and yet they want to stop it and they want to do other things. So I'm against that. But this is right here, the warrants were, and the complaints of warrants and subjects charging them with an unlawful flight would be 200,000 cash. That's not hurting him too bad since he's a millionaire. 200,000 is like a slap on his hand, right? So, detective in Michigan was the most recent 6 months. Let's go further down. Um, it's kind of hard when it's got so many things like that. These boxes. Sheldon said it said have been in contact. Shelden, the state prison of Southern Michigan at Jackson for the same offense for which subjects have been charged. Stated that the police have been in contact with Washington and that to be planning an establishment of a nature camp in Washington state to pursue his pedophilia activities. Wow. Also stated that his office has been informed that New York might have some knowledge of his whereabouts or may have been in contact with recently. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. What's wrong with American flags? Why do they go like that and make people? John Snyder, the guy that did Dukes of Hazzard, he's got a movie about that, and I think he said I can't remember what the movie is, but I think we need to promote his movie really big. You can look that up and have it on your channel, Jack. Stated that they have received the following addresses for previous employment applications or legal documents while in the state of Michigan. And of course, they're not going to show it's all redacted there. But continue that with regard to Sheldon, he was last seen in the state around September 76 when he took his airplane, a 1975 Piper Seneca, number 33670 from the Ann Arbor airport and disappeared. Sheldon since sold his airplane in Utah. Okay, so anyway, Sheldon also sold his home in Ann Arbor and was handled, such and such, handled the rental of Sheldon's property in Aspen, Colorado. He has Blank has denied any knowledge of Sheldon's whereabouts, according to Blank, stated he had no address for Sheldon's property in Aspen. Of course, he's going to deny, deny, deny. So tired of hearing deny, deny, deny. November 1976, they told him that he would be resigning his position as trustee at Cranbrook Institute and would be out of the country for about a year. So we need to check out Cranbrook Institute since he was going to be resigning from there. Sheldon later confirmed this resignation with a letter to somebody else dated December the 6th, 1976. That's 4 days after my daddy died. So, also stated that Blake had confided in him that one Blake, California, who was thought might have contact with either Sheldon or both. Let's get past this since it don't give us much information there. Subject are described below right here. And this is Denver and Aspen, Colorado. Will, through local directory and deed office, locate Shelden's residents and interview occupants regarding rental agreement and any contact they may have had with Shelden. And that just goes on just about the rental thing. And right here, that's where its name had appeared on the articles of Brother Paul's Children's Fishing in Port Huron, Michigan. Sick sadistic. Okay, regarding purchase of airplane. Let's go on further down. Oh, look at here, y'all. Look at here. Investor is sought as child molester. Got it in there, y'all. They finally got it as a child molester now. So this is the federal agents Friday joined the search for wealthy Ann Arbor investor Francis Duffield Shelden and a New York man, both accused of fleeing Michigan to avoid prosecution on charges of sexually assaulting young boys. Thank you for finally putting it that way instead of saying that way on homosexual. A court of warrants issued Friday morning by U.S. Magistrate Barbara K. Hackett in Detroit. Shelden and Dyer Grossman of New York both fled the place. Let me see it, get it bigger right here. Sorry about that. Trying to get this and come back over this way. Okay. Wow. They both fled the state around August the 20th, some 3 months before charges were brought against them on November 24th for criminal sexual conduct. Investigation of the alleged child sex activities has focused on Port Huron and on Shelden's 839-acre island hideaway in Lake Michigan, about 26 miles from Charlotte Butte. Shelden is charged with assaulting a 14-year-old boy in Port Huron and an 8-year-old Port Huron boy on the island. Grossman is charged with assaulting a youth in Port Huron. FBI agent Kenneth Alexander said the search probably will go from coast to coast. He said agents are about 2 months behind Shelden and about 6 months behind Grossman. Okay. The federal fugitive warrants, which allowed the FBI to enter the case since Shelden fled from Ann Arbor to Aspen, Colorado about August the 30th. Michigan State Police investigating the case learned that Shelden sold his twin-engine plane in December '76 in Provo, Utah, according to the federal warrant. Grossman allegedly fled from Pure Huron to Walnut Creek, California on August the 30th. However, the federal warrant said he is no longer staying at his last known California address. Both Grossman and Shelden were directors of Brother Paul's Children's Mission, described in its literature as located on a beautiful privately owned island off Charlevoix. The FBI said Grossman been in Port Huron to help with some legal work for the uh, mission. I think that's what it says. It says, looks like it says mission. I can't tell. So then FBI hunts boy sex abuse suspect. This is another article here about Robert A. and Kenny. So we're going on further and down. This is horrible. And he had the brains and he had a Yale doctorate and everything. Yes, yes, you can. Let me go ahead and make you a. Yes, yes, you can. Thank you so much. And also, right here it says again, both Sheldon and Grossman became fugitives after Gerald Richards, the missions president, uh, pled guilty to charge of criminal sexual activity last July and became an informant against his former colleagues. Richards currently is in Jackson State Prison, according to state police. He might be dead by now because this was 70, in the 70s. I don't feel bad about saying glad that they're dead. I'm sorry, I can't. So this is Denver. There's enclosed for receiving officers are photographs of Francis Duffield Shelden, photograph of Shelden furnished by the Detroit Free Press newspaper, and photograph identified through investigation of Michigan State Police. So this goes on further down where sexual criminal conduct also again right here. A check with Phil Clark, postmaster for the Dollar Ranch Station at Walnut Creek, California post office. Whoa. Revealed that subject and paid for 1 year. So Sheldon paid for 1 year, y'all, at Dollar Ranch Station. Wow. He gave an address blank as a permanent address and listed the names as individuals who would be authorized to remove mail. The subject provided identification number. He also indicated he was a blank church of New Revelation foster parents type of business, child welfare. Look at here, y'all. Foster care. Let's see. Church of New Revelation, foster parents type of business, child welfare. Wow. There was a business card on the inside of the box. Wow. So according to Mr. Clark, the lease on this box expired in 77. And if the box is not renewed, which he's dead, so we ain't got to worry about it no more. Clark stated the box is loaded with mail, and apparently no one has picked up the mail for some time. He advised that there was some indication that the subject had previously been living or had a post office box in Lansing, Michigan, Farmington, New Mexico, and Carmel, New York. Wow. These pedophiles, they just keep on moving around, You never know where they're going to be from one moment to the next. And the sad thing is, there's always people to help them out, to help them to get from point A to point B. He stated further that a change of address order postal form was mailed in Washington. Mr. Clark explained that this merely changed his street address, not the post office box address. Okay, so we're going further down. They would immediately contact if something changes. So this is still going back from, there's the defile sexual criminal conduct. Enclosed for receiving officers and 2 photographs each of the subjects. Let's go on down. It says right here, and detective, let's see, approximately a week to 10 days ago, a twin Bonanza airplane, 715U, departed the Charlevoix airport with a flight plan included Nashville, Tennessee. And I wondered if it means Nashville, Tennessee, but it's in Nashville, Tennessee, right? This airplane was piloted by such and such who filed the flight plan. The plane was listed as a company plane belonging to Big Brothers Aviation. Oh my goodness. Yo, I just recently donated money to somebody with a Big Brothers big organization. What county of Washington State has it? The 1,000 registered. Wow, that's quite a bit. And what's even scarier than that, Jack, is the fact that the ones we don't know that are pedophiles that are not given that, sex offender register thing. You're quite welcome. I really appreciate you. I don't think you will. I seen you around, so I think you're pretty good. So it also should be noted that Sheldon was involved in the attaining of the boys' camp in Tennessee, which had recently been indicted in sexual abuse care there. See there, that's where he had confiscated. See, now here's a brother be such and such. Sorry, look at there. Leads Memphis at Nashville, Tennessee. The Big Brothers Aviation will determine what his business was in Charlottesville, Michigan, and if he has had any contact with Frank Sheldon or recognizes the photographs of Sheldon. Of course, they're going to deny, 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 right? So at Springport, Illinois, will contact the Springfield Marine Bank and determine their association with the Big Brothers Aviation and the airplane in question and their knowledge of business dealings with Frank Sheldon. So here is the Newark, Francis Duffield Shelden, going on down. That's still, this is the February 77. Bank AmeriCard for payments. Said visited the Detroit, wow, Port Huron, Michigan areas, renting a car at the Flint Bishop Airport using the Bank AmeriCard for payment according to their records. Well, so they said in 77, a confidential source advised that a blank telephone number, New Jersey telephone number, New Jersey was thought to have blank. It should be noted that Sheldon submitted his resignation to the Cranbrook Institution Science Board of Trustees in the latter part of October 76. The postmark on the letter was Kearney, New Jersey. Okay, The source also stated blank, New Jersey, Ocean Living Institution or like organization there. Source also stated the Church of the New Revelation is incorporated in the state of Delaware and has received a tax exempt status there, and that the Educational Foundation for Youth, incorporated in Chicago, Illinois, might also be tied into the Ocean Living Institution and operating under different names in their respective states. Wow. Educational Foundation for Youth is involved in it too, y'all. Look at there. Ocean Living is wow. Another confidential source, we can't read nothing on that, so it stated it might be of some assistance in the Bureau's investigation, but we don't know nothing what that said. Just about that whole area was redacted. Okay, let's get on further down there. We'll contact the Harvey School, J Street, Katona, New York, regarding their association and knowledge of, and then they will contact the Bankers Trust. Which one is this at? This is at from SAC Seattle, Detroit Detroit Artel to Seattle, dated 2/25/77, and San Francisco Artel to Detroit, dated 3/11/77. The records of the U.S. Postal Service, Edmonds, Washington, is assigned to Donald Keller, who resides, there's the address, Edmonds, Washington. The records reflect that mail is also received at this post office box in the name of Consolidated Footwear. Okay. So, detective in Washington Police Department advised that she has been conducting an investigation regarding Donald G. Keller in Edmonds, Washington, regarding Keller being involved in pornography involving juveniles. She advised that in November of 75, her department received a letter from the Orange County, California Sheriff's Office, which contained 6 photographs of young male juveniles in obscene positions. The letter stated that Keller sent the negatives to their local photographer in California to be developed and left the return address of P.O. Box 342, Edmonds, Washington. Investigation conducted by Edmonds, Washington Police. So I'm thinking that must be an AKA alias, possibly a Sheldon baby. And it's been and successful in identifying the juveniles involved. Detectives advise that Keller lives with his 80-year-old mother at the above address and is employed as a wholesale shoe salesman for Consolidated Footwear. Detective Blake advised that other considerable investigation by the Edmonds, Washington Police Department to make a valid case regarding criminal sexual contact on Keller. She interviewed Keller wherein he stated that he did not know any of the juvenile boys portrayed in the photographs. However, he stated that he obtained the negatives for the photographs from a studio in Europe, which mailed them to him. He indicated that while he was on business in the area of Santa Ana, California, he took the negatives to the photographer in that area to have them developed. Detective Blank noted that Keller was very evasive and somewhat uncooperative during the questioning. So a neighborhood investigation was conducted, and neighbors in the area who are very familiar with Donald Keller and his 80-year-old mother who resided there advised that they did not recognize photographs of captioned subjects or anyone who has been in the vicinity. So then Miss Keller, the 80-year-old mother of Donald Keller, was convicted, at which time she advised her son Donald is employed by wholesale shoe salesman and travels around the country extensively in this business. She advised that she expected him to be home for a short period of time that particular afternoon and that he would be leaving on the March 1977 for an extended trip to the East Coast. Mrs. Keller was shown photographs catching subjects, and she advised that she had never seen nor met these individuals. But she was arrested herself. It was contacted, at which time he advised the subject, Francis Shelden, is not familiar to him and has never seen him nor met this individual. He advised that he met only Blank on one occasion. He advised that approximately 1 year ago he was um, telephonically contacted by an individual who identified himself as Blank and who wanted to meet with him regarding Blank. Search for property in the state of Washington. Keller advised that he met with the other either the same day he received the telephone call or the next day at a motel in the Seattle, Washington area. He advised that he could not recall which motel. That's kind of weird. He advised that Blake at that time for the Ocean Living Institute and he was trying to find property to purchase in the Seattle, Washington area for use in a recreation camp. Keller advised that Blake contacted him both for aid in finding the appropriate property and for held in secured funds to purchase the property. Keller advised that he told Blake he did not know of any such property available, did not have any funds he wanted to invest in such a venture, and was not interested in working with Blake in future in this regard. Hey, you're not stupid at all. Welcome back. No prejudice against gay community, and has no place in the public schools. It's twist. Yes. Welcome back, Cash. Back, my putz ma'am is home and she's happy now. I had to put up with this. Oh, you're not stupid though. Cash, you ain't stupid. So Keller stated that his dealings in pornography were limited to the one incident wherein he obtained some negatives of children involved in obscene acts from a studio in Europe and had the film processed in California. He advises that this matter was on record at the Emmons, Washington. Who believes that it was just a one-time incident? Everybody who don't believe that it was a one-time incident, put a two in the box. Put a two in the chat if you don't believe that it's a one-time incident. He said it's just a one-time incident of him getting them porno pictures for somebody in Europe, and that he ended up having it developed in California and sent to him over there in Washington State. Exactly, Cash. Donald Keller was advised of the provisions of the Harbour Statute, which he stated he fully understood and promised his cooperation and locating captured fugitives in the even he should receive any information regarding them in the future. He stated, should he receive any such information, he would immediately contact the FBI. However, he did not feel he would be the recipient of any such information in the future. It is noted that Keller was very nervous during the above interview and was evasive and answered many of the questions. The following description of Keller was obtained through observation and from records of the Edmonds, Washington Police Department. So, have you ever heard of this case there, Jack? So, he was male Caucasian, 6 foot, slender, gray with receding hairline, hazel eyes, wears dark rimmed glasses. That sounds like it is. It sounds so much like Francis. Let me try to look for his picture again. Hold on a minute. Francis with a dark. Uh, let's see. Is this the one or is that the one? Let's see. See if this is the one right here. See, does it not look like? Does that not look like that's the description of Francis Shelden? I'm sorry. That looks like the description of him. Make it bigger here. The dark red glasses, skinny, thin, receding hairline. So I bet that was him. I really believe that was him. Get back over here. Pedos pan off the golf, buddy. Yeah, exactly. All the slimy behind the scenes stuff from corrupt officials back then too. You got that right. That's what we got. You know that Charles Rogers was getting out about that Judge McLaughlin over there in Cobb County. And there's other police officers, and I mean he wanted to go and press charges and have a or somebody could not get to him, have a restraining order against some people, and Judge McLaughlin refused, and he even threatened to kill my friend Charles Rogers, Blackstone lawyer, and he also threatened the other two boys who wanted to go and have some things done as well. And he threatened to throw them in jail and said that he'll make sure that the people in the jail would kill them while they're in the jail. Okay? So why won't something be done to this judge? Because he got higher up. Come on, Trump, if you're listening, please do something. Your buddies, all these people want to get these bad people. Come on, get them now already. Get them out of there. The following investigation was conducted by SA Michigan on February the 28th, 77. A confidential source advised that on the same date. Also received at the same time was a letter addressed to the blank, source dated blank. So there's too much blanks right here. We'd be able to really understand what's going on here, so I'm going to pass it on. So it's about a vehicle that neither he nor his family have any knowledge as to the present whereabouts, and blank Francis Sheldon stated that the business transactions regarding blank are handled by blank in Michigan. Oh, let's go. And he claims that then Ann Arbor, Michigan has been sold and his condominium in Aspen, Colorado has been rented. So that means he was still getting money since he was getting it rented, right? Not unless he was renting it prior. But he was a millionaire, so why would he have to ever rent any property? So, by the current news articles regarding, however, he recommended that all inquiries be directed to. So, on March the 2nd, 77, Detroit Free Press, Detroit, Michigan, furnished photographs of Frank Sheldon taken in December 75 on Sheldon's North Box Island. He also furnished blank about Sheldon, given his background and interest, which they had redacted that. But here's some right here. On February 1877, inquiry with Michigan Secretary of State's office regarding Francis Duffield Shelden determined the following vehicles registered in his name. So there was even a motorcycle there. See, Mercury four door, Oldsmobile four door. Makes you wonder what some of the colors were because remember there was some cars and some of them other killings like the Oakland City where there was a black, a brown car. Bentley's less of a paper trail and these. Oh yeah. Plus, if he keeps going by all these aliases, no matter where he buys, it wouldn't really matter, would it? Get on out of my way. There we go. So March the 8th, Transverse City, Michigan advised according to their investigation, property in Colorado to do something. Okay, and she stated that he said something about going to Europe for the next year, stated that he should get any further information, he would immediately notify. But even though she said that he was in that Monhov or wherever that was called, Monjaco or something like that, this was in Memphis here, Memphis, Tennessee, in 1977. Advised that a plane was repossessed by the Springfield Marine Bank, which was subsequently sold by the bank. And as part of the selling of that plane, the bank took it in on a trade of twin Bonanza airplane number 715U. This plane was then sold by the bank and then sold several times since by various owners. The last known owner was Harmon and Crook Incorporated from Nashville, Tennessee, and no lien Springfield Marine Bank is supposed to be currently on this plane. He was unfamiliar with names of Big Brothers Aviation or subjects praying Francis Duffield Shelden. He also had no record of these individuals doing business at the Springfield Marine Bank. So that goes to say that the people that ended up buying the plane from Sheldon actually possibly was Big Brothers, maybe? Possibly. Okay, so then there's Alpine Aviation Provo Airport, Stapleton Field Airport in Denver, Colorado. He that he had talked with an employee at Combs Gate, Denver, Colorado, and that he had learned that his company had purchased a place from the plane for the subject, but that company apparently did not know the whereabouts of the subject, Sheldon. On March 24th, Blank advised he had located a service log for the plane. The log showed the plane had been serviced by the following on the dates. So, anyway, let's get on down there. Appeared that the work done on the plane on September 21st by Atlas Aviation and inspection was apparently related. So let's get on down. He stated that he had located an aircraft registration which showed that Francis, well, they put P Sheldon, it's supposed to be D Sheldon. Detroit, Michigan had purchased the aircraft on March 22nd, 75, and that it had been purchased from Gordon Aviation. Okay. The other stuff is either Salt Lake City, Detroit, Airtel to Denver, Salt Lake City, closed for Detroit, and 3 copies of an insert regarding investigation conduct at Provo, Utah. Okay. Contact Combs Gate, Stapleton Field regarding purchase of plane. Da, 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 da. Let's get on down further. There's no copies of the inserts. Da, da, da. And his is at Tacoma, Washington, where Lakewood Center Post Office, Washington, advised that blank was opened on November 3rd, 76. But when the box was opened, he gave the address. So there shows he was there, right? Get on further down. It said that, wow, 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 wow. I just seen something here. On March 18th, Oakwood Motor Lodge in Tacoma, South Tacoma Way, reviewed his registration for the period between November 1st and the present date. His records indicated originally registered at the motel on November 2nd, 76, and stayed for a period of 1 month and departed on December 2nd, 1976. He returned to the motel on December the 14th and stayed on and off between December 14th through January 14th, 77. Um, it said that Blank contacted employees of his motel to determine if they had any information to provide concerning Blank, and he determined that Blank was seen moving a large amount of camera equipment into the motel room number 57. At the time he was staying there in November, there was a possibility that he had been taking pictures or shooting film in the motel room. No unusual activity was noted by the maintenance man nor the maids. All they had to do was give money so that no, we didn't see nothing. No, we didn't see nothing. No, 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 we didn't notice nothing. So on March 18th, recontact made with Blank Lakewood Center Post Office, and the facts Blank fugitive status were discussed with him. They provided the following information, which we cannot see. Da, 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 da. So we'll just go on, keep on going. Disappointing. So that's where he was in New York. That's where he was. A letter from the state of Washington Employment Security Department in Washington, because they had placed a stop on the mail and determined from him if and when he showed up to pick up his mail and what is the new address. Did it do? Wow, looking at his. The in Tacoma, Washington, advised that Blank opened an account at their branch on December the 16th, 76, with a $10,788.31 deposit. His account number and his account card, which he filed out on, on opening the account, showed that his previous savings account was at Cascade Savings, no city shown. It is noted that Cascade Savings had a branch in Linwood, Washington, which is adjacent to Edmonds, Washington. Also, on the opening card, it's got the social security number. Okay, we don't need any of that. Let's see. She also advises that the last activity Blank account was on January 1977, which appeared to be a withdrawal, and that the amount is a regular savings account and currently has a balance of 7,600. By all means, y'all, if there's anything in his account today with him being dead, I hope that y'all give it to some of his victims. Would hope and pray that, right? Sorry about that, Darlene. I just had to help with my. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you. So it's also they got Pierce County. Look at all these different sections right here. And it says again where the big brothers, big sisters, and both advise that neither man is familiar to them. They were advised of the method of operation of Blank and Shelden, and they stated that if they heard from either one of them, they would be immediately notify the Tacoma resident agent. They further advised that the only other organization in Tacoma that would handle the youngsters on a one-to-one basis with adults will be the Youth Services Bureau run by the state of Washington. And I hope that y'all are really good with taking care of your kids and not going to harm the kids. There's too many organizations out there that is not healthy for our kids. Let's see. It's just this list just goes on and on. You know what I mean? So it talks about the funds on his account, and this right here talks in Seattle. This is going back to 2 copies of investigative inserts reflects. So we're going on further down. Advice Seattle, if it is spelled anything, a lead value can be attained by obtaining a search warrant for subject safety deposit box at Tacoma, Washington. Well, I think it would be advisable, without a doubt. He is wanted, so why can't you go ahead and obtain a search warrant for it? A communication Salt Lake City advised that on 10/1976, suspect Sheldon sold the Piper Seneca to airplane to Alpine Aviation in Utah. Then we go further down. Let's get on back over here. Believed that Shelden was accompanied by another male but was not positive. Stated that the actual handling of the final arrangements and payment for the plane were handled to. After Sheldon's initial visit, he was contacted blank by phone, advising that Sheldon's plane was parked in Combs Gate lot and that the keys were being mailed to the buyer. Upon inspection, Blank found the plane was left with many expensive personal items aboard, which were boxed up and mailed to Blank. During several telephone conversations with Blank, was told that he knew how to get in touch with Sheldon by phone, that Sheldon frequently left the United States, was on the opinion that Sheldon was currently out of the country and possibly in South America. Was advised that the only two addresses, of course they're going to say, well, it's probably out of the country. He's out of the country. And he's been in the country part of the time, too. We noted that, didn't we? That Denver, Colorado will contact local airlines and airport car rentals in an attempt to ascertain mode of travel by which subjects departed. Wow. So let's go on further down. That's the file, and that's in Newark for Detroit. For information of receiving officers, subjects have been charged with criminal sexual conduct, which is a felony in the state of Michigan involving the procurement and sexual activities involving young boys ages 8 through 14 in the Port Huron and Traverse City, Michigan area. Local complaints and warrants were issued on. So this goes on, as it said before, Magistrate Barbara K. Hackett, Detroit, Michigan, who issued complaints and warrants for subjects charging them with unlawful flight to avoid of prosecution, Title 18, Section 1073 U.S. Code. And there's a $200,000 cash bond, warrants in possession. There he is again right here on this one. It identifies himself as blank. Well, telephonically contacted the Mount Clemens resident agency and advised that he was aware that the FBI in Kearney, New Jersey, and Washington, New Jersey have been trying to contact him. However, he was presently in Houston, Texas. Ocean Living Blank Church of the New Revelation. He stated that the recent publication in the state of Michigan has all but put the two of his business endeavors under. Blank stated that he's been trying to contact the FBI in Newark, but to date has been unable to reach the agents. Yeah, I believe that. I really believe that. Not So he claims that he had tried to contact them, departed New York after Christmas. He thought he would return to Washington State or San Francisco, California area. Stated that okay, see, let me get back up here and see what's going on here. Stated that he thinks he might have met Sheldon sometime in the fall of '76. However, he could not be sure. He stated that he had no idea where Sheldon may be at. He met Sheldon blank uh, Ocean Living Institute stated that the last time he saw was around Christmas when he was visiting New York. Okay, then we go further on. So it's stated that stated that when he was on the West Coast prior to Christmas, he placed an ad in a paper calling the Advocate, a gay newspaper published in San Francisco, offered his services to work at a camp or to live with a family with small children. Can you believe this? Is doing an advertising. So he's an advocate. A gay newspaper published in San Francisco offered his services to work at a camp or to live with a family with small children. Sickening, isn't it, y'all? Wow. This goes on and on. They got all these different files, on the vehicles and trying to get that information there. Here's where it was in the Army. There's some people, I want to say thank you for serving, but I would never show my appreciation to this dude. So the following FBI wanted by Bureau Francis Duffield Shelden may be identified. There we go. Go ahead. So there's a closest identification record of an individual who may or may not be identified with subject. Endeavor to determine and advise whether these individuals are identified. Okay, come on now. That's in New York. Okay, pornographic films and or magazines involving use of children in New York. Read New York Artel to Atlanta and Detroit Artel to Los Angeles. Enclosed for New York are two copies of an investigative insert which was requested in reference to New York Artel. Information received from it, blank Michigan State Police Intelligence Division on April the 5th, 77, indicated that Traverse City, Michigan may be a place for pornography and homosexual activity involving young boys. The Traverse City Record Eagle, a local Michigan newspaper, uncovered a story involving, so it's blank right there, redacted again. So Michigan Jackson Prison. Um, Blank was arrested. He had in his possession photographs and films of boys engaged in homosexual acts. Also involved are subject file 8815105 and Francis D. Sheldon, subject under file 8815106. Both of these men are to believed to have fled the country. The Sheldon, a millionaire who owns North Fox Island in Ladue County, Michigan, allegedly used the island as a place in which he used young boys in various homosexual acts and filmed those acts for use in pornographic material, which was allegedly distributed nationally. These men are described as follows. There's the French Sheldon thing. A view of the previously mentioned 88 files reflected that they do not contain information regarding the alleged mail and distribution of pornography with young boys. At Traverse City in Michigan, will contact Michigan State Police and officials of the Traverse City Record Eagle in an effort to determine if any previously subjects or whatever. I think all over the world, if they knew that this case was going on, why did they not just go ahead and say, well, you got to go to each state, each little place, and say, oh, if you got information there, oh, if you got information there, oh, if you got information there. You know what I'm saying? Why should you have to do that, right? Very unbelievable. So we'll maintain contact with Yellow Freight officials regarding deliveries to Royal News, a pornographic wholesaler, and Romelu, which is, wow. Okay. So this is where the Bureau of Investigation, the Army again, goes further down. That's showing that again, y'all. I'm sorry. This is a lot of information in it. But I wish a lot of it wasn't redacted, sorry. Boy, there's got the Big Brother organization right there again, you know. He therefore wrote a thank you letter to Shelden, but received no media. Who did? Who wrote a letter? It's redacted too on who wrote the letter? Yeah, it is redacted. Shoot. He ended up writing a thank you letter to Sheldon. Wow. Don't know the whereabouts of Sheldon. The original letter was turned over to, it just looks like it says SA. That's all I see. Without the original envelope, it is. blank recollection that the envelope was postmarked in Detroit. Blake denies having any current information regarding Sheldon's whereabouts or his involvement in illegal and pornographic activities. But why the thank you to him? I want to know. Why the thank you, right? Wow. To locate him, expressed concern that the following information remain confidential and under no circumstances be made available to members of his family. Blake has just read an article in the Ann Arbor News about the investigation, which item mentioned located Sheldon's plane in Utah. Wonders now whether Blake might not have been information of value in the current fugitive investigation. So it goes on further down. It's basically saying the same thing here as it was earlier. It says New Jersey Commission on March 28th, 1977. Blank that worked there uh, advised that he was aware of subjects' fugitive status. However, he has developed no information concerning their whereabouts. He stated that he had no information reflecting that the subjects were at the Ocean Living Institution in Kearney, New Jersey. If he or his office becomes aware of the subject's whereabouts or had information concerning their whereabouts, they would not hesitate to furnish same to the FBI. I don't trust everybody that says that they will furnish information. There it is again. And there said, advised that blank of the Church of the New Revelation, and that's September 1974. Wow. The person making an application, telephone number, were entitled to receive mail at such and such. Okay, so we go further down. I think he used a lot of different organizations to be able to get mail too. It's like, in addition, Blank advised that Blank was involved in establishing a West Indies trust company, exact address unknown, denied any current knowledge of activities conducted by Blank or any contact with the two fugitives. Okay. He was completely unfamiliar with the fugitive Shelden. However, he had met Blank. Ocean Living Institute was being set up. He stated that he knew no background information concerning Blank. He stated he was, see, it's a lot's redacted here, right? So on April the 5th, 77, Blank telephonically contacted the Newark office at the Federal Bureau of Investigation from the Days Inn Hotel, West Cavalcade, Houston, Texas. West Cavalcade Street, Houston, Texas. Blank that he resides in New Jersey. He advised that he was aware of subject Shelden, but had no information concerning his present location. He would only say that Shelden was a millionaire who had been a trustee for the Cranbrook Institute, provided the following information. He advised that during the fall of 76, he stated that he was in contact Blank and he would meet him concerning the Ocean Living Institute. However, he stated he was not aware that Blank was a fugitive at the time. Blake advised that the last time he saw was the last week after Christmas. So we're going on and on and on. Okay, so let's go further. I think that's that other guy that was running with Shelden. This just goes on and on, people. This crazy. So we need to cover here. How many of y'all would like me to have Charles Rogers back in here and get him to talk more on this Shelden dude? If y'all do, can y'all put a two up? So it said at Tortola, Virgin Islands, conduct investigation of the trust company of the Virgin Islands Limited and any savings account connected with its trust. Honolulu, Hawaii. Who's? Hey, what up with you? Hope you're doing good. The key figure doesn't exist. It says that Traverse City Adam Starchild does not exist. That's a word from Frank Holstein, chief investigator for the New Jersey Commission of Investigation, who has been searching state computers and files for a solid lead to the man. The Crime Commission wants to talk to Starchild about his involvement in the several organizations that are suspected of using children for homosexual acts and the production of pornography. Excuse me, like I said, it is I'm tired of them for homosexual acts when they're raping a boy. It does not matter what gender it is. Raping is raping. Stop saying for homosexual acts. Stop making it like the boys are just as guilty as these perpetrators. Come on now, get real. But stop putting it in terms of homosexual acts. It's not homosexual acts, it is raping of a child or a minor. Get the facts straight, people. You make me mad. So the Crime Commission wants to talk, and so we're going further down. Hosted says Star Child is an alias, and other Record Eagle sources back that up. It said nonetheless, when the newspaper from New Jersey telephone books and found a listing for Adam Starchild, the hating the listing gave no address, but the number matched the one given for Ocean Living Institute, one of the suspect organization, which named Starchild as an officer. The name is also listed as an original incorporator of Brother Paul's Children's Mission on North Fox Island. Imagine that. The name is also listed, which we got that. So we're going down further. As president the Church of the New Revelation of New Jersey, and as a trustee of Educational Foundation for Youth of Illinois. All four organizations have been identified by Gerald Richards, the president of Brother Paul's, as fronts. Hmm, hmm. And told police that the real purpose of the uh, I can't see what this word is. He got it partly blocked like that right here. It's to promote homosexual behavior between boys, take pictures of it, and sell them through the nation's underground pornography distribution network. Richards is now serving a 2 to 10 year term in Jackson Prison for having sexual intercourse with a 10-year-old child. Star Child, or at least the man who says he's Star Child, tells a slightly different story. Contacted at the number given by Ocean Living Institute, he said that the organizations were not set up for the purpose of using young boys to produce homosexual pornography, but added that the organizations may have been used for that purpose by Dyer Grossman. Grossman, a New York State teacher, has also been connected to the organizations being investigated. He's currently being sought by the FBI on a flight warrant that declares him to be a fugitive from justice. He's charged with criminal sexual conduct involving a 10-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy in Mount Huron. During the conversation, Starchild claimed he was unaware of the existence of Brother Paul's Children's Mission until he read about the allegations revealed in the Record Eagle last December. The articles, he said, were sent to him anonymously. So let me try to see if I can make a call right quick and add this person. And the person, let's see if we could do that. Looks like I'm going to have to shut the door. Yeah, so I got the door partly open. Would you like to talk to everybody concerning what you know of Francis Sheldon?
Well, he was uh he was originally Jay Ramsey, John Ramsey's dad's partner in the development of Norfolk's Island, and um, the brother Paul's summer camp, which was a child pornography ring that a lot of the police were
You know, one thing,
members of
you know,
back in the mid 1970s.
one thing that upset, hey Charles, one thing that upsets me about this,
Uh,
when they keep trying to say homosexual um, pornography ring, these boys, like, remember when you told me the Bentley Farms that Stubbs guy tried to get you to had already taught that girl what to do, and do this to her supposed brothers and such as, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
I can't help but these boys were also brought up that way and were having to do that because they were pressuring them to do that. This was not something I believe any of them willingly did perform in. And they want to say this is a homosexual pornography ring, but you can't be blaming these kids for what these sick adult men are doing to the boys. That does not in any way say that these boys are homosexual.
Well, yeah, they're definitely not shining their shoes. That's for sure. But I'm assuming you're on the air, correct?
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay.
Yes.
But Jay, he was the czar of the Michigan Aeronautics Commission.
Right.
So he helped Shelden, who purchased the island, um, being an heir of the Edsel um, Motor Corporation. He helped him get the funding, the permits to build the landing strip.
Yes.
They called it the airport, but it was just a landing strip. He approved the permits. He inspected it, and of course, you couldn't get a permit to build an airport without getting the approval of Jay Ramsey. So after the construction of it, a short period after that, Jay he retired, and um, they were trying to remember all the guys' names that were involved in it, but a lot of them, like Ted Turner, uh, H.W. Bush, the CEO of General Motors, and some other big names back in that time were very much involved in that.
Right.
And of course, that's when children started winding up being murdered over in Oakland County, Michigan. And um, Shelden was involved with John Ramsey and the homicides of that children, and of course, at parties. And we have to bear in mind people's names that I do mention. They are still presumed innocent until convicted.
Right.
But people like Sam Duncan, Duncan Oil, Doug McRae, franchise owner of Radio Shack, Murphy, North Carolina. Um, and also allegedly people like Francis Cook of Murphy Building Supply was involved in this stuff. Uh, with Ramsey, a lot of them that was involved as well in the Atlanta child murders was also involved in that.
Yes, and they also, what you said, basically the whole thing basically stems from Georgia, and it's really gone around. And you see how much land that even John Ramsey, the father of Beth Ramsey and John Benet Ramsey and Burke and John Andrews, you know how many places he's got all over, the country.
Oh yeah, I mean he had a house over in Hiawassee, Georgia, there on Lake Chattooga, which is so did Big Ray Duncan, the founder of Duncan Oil, and I believe it was the whites who used the Ramsey's home there in 1996. Um, when Eric Rudolph was actually John Benet's water skiing instructor. Um, the whites used the Ramsey's home, and the Ramseys they stayed with Big Ray Duncan at his home with Jeff Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And
And you can tell people how you know this fact.
well, one, I've known Sam Duncan since I was almost 9 years old from living there in Morganton, Georgia. And my mother used to stop there at his gas station in Murphy, North Carolina. And when we'd be up there shopping, she'd stop in and fill up her car. So we always got along real well with Sam Duncan. He was always real friendly and real nice, toward us. Of course, he wasn't very friendly toward me when I got to Murphy, North Carolina in July of 1996, which I found very not only disappointing, but shocked about it because I used to enjoy every time I was in that area, stopping in the gas station and visiting with Sam for a little bit, for most of my life.
Now you make me wonder about, there's been some that treated me differently when I was a kid and acting nice like that. When I showed up when I was got a little bit older, then they act like, oh
Uh,
crap, not her. You know what I mean? And they
uh,
ain't seen me since I was a kid and everything. And it's like, do what? What's the change? Now I'm, near adult or whatever. And now all of a sudden, I guess when I was still a teen, he was still acting nice. But then whenever um, I became adult and away from that, it's almost like they knew that, oh crap.
well, after falling victim to the way that I did at the sleepover there on Bentley Farms with the Stubbs family, uh, you know, Sam there tried to, convince and my parents let me come up there to Murphy as sleepover. My parents just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't allow me to go to any more sleepovers.
I'm glad of that.
Yeah, and but Sam, he was always real friendly and real nice toward the family. Um, and like I said, it was very friendly toward me once I arrived in Murphy in July of 1996 when I transferred my part-time job with Electrolux in Pensacola, Florida, there to Murphy, North Carolina. Um, I think a lot of that might have been to do with a predictive accusation that I had did to Frank Cook, so this boy Mike Cook,
Yes.
back at that baseball game in 1974 between our elementary schools. And of course, Mike did wind up being involved in the Oklahoma City bombing, and actually was the perpetrator of the Centennial Architect with his cousin Bobby Cook, because Eric Rudolph was actually with his brother Daniel been hanging dog, smoking marijuana and drinking beer during the Centennial Architect. Now, don't get me wrong, the Rudolph brothers did build the explosives for that attack, so they did not wrongfully convict Eric Rudolph of anything. Just because he didn't plan them didn't mean that he wasn't guilty.
Right. I got one question, and I'll let you get back to this right quick. Earlier, I showed the obituary of Frank Shelden. If I get this, I says, um, but remember, it says that he died over there in that other country, and he didn't. Could you tell people where he actually died, what actually happened?
Yeah, Frank Shelden is actually buried um, just a little over a mile east of Andrews, North Carolina, off of Highway 74, for an attempted execution of me with his partners Andrea Strassmeyer and Dave Holloway. Of course, a lot of people know that Andrea Strassmeyer was involved with Timothy McVeigh and other parties in the Oklahoma City bombing.
So you can tell them who was the actual killer of those that wasn't actually you, but it was people that's defending you, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am. A couple of them was Eric Rudolph's friends. You know, when all this first went down in 1998, people of Western North Carolina were totally unaware that I wound up some of my buddies up there in the course of that in Atlanta, succeeded in stopping in 28 of their 33 terrorist attacks. So when Rudolph was on the run from the FBI, um, everyone thought it was just, from, hitting an abortion provider over there in Birmingham, when it wasn't even actually Eric who did that attack. But Eric and Matt McRae of the Radio Shack, the nephew of Doug McRae, was involved with Jay and John Ramsey in the Oakland County child murders, and of course the North Fox Howland pedophile ring.
Right. So when you actually seen Frank Shelden, when knowing that he was supposedly dead, right? What were your first thoughts when you seen him?
Well, when I first met Frank, um, I really didn't know that much about it. Okay. When I met him, he seemed like a, what I call a good old boy, someone you would envision going out and getting in the streams and trout fishing and stuff like that. This was around the 17th of 1996, after Rhonda Cook, the first wife of Oklahoma City and Centennial Park bomber Mike Cook, faked an attack. They said stabbed herself in the legs and alleged that I was the one who did it. He had came to Murphy to help set up the plot to frame me for both the fake attack of Rhonda Cook and the Centennial Park attack. Because if you remember, I mentioned that they had postponed the attack immediately after my first day out of Letchworks on the 23rd of July 1996, and postponed the attack from the 25th, 2 days to my daughter's birthday, in hopes of setting me up, framing for that attack. And initially, the fake attack would run hook. However, I couldn't be in two places at the same time. I couldn't be in College Park, Georgia, at the Easy Rental location, professionally cleaning upholstery there, and be driving my pickup truck there on 64 and 74 there, Ranger, when, Drug Task Force Commander Mark Thigpen called him a tag number.
Yeah, well, my question was, whenever you did go to see him the second time after you had heard that he was dead, were you thinking like, oh, a ghost or something like that? Like you really thought he was dead or something? And
well, after I met him, that's when I found out that he was supposedly dead.
oh, okay.
I had some people look at me and said, "Well, there's no way he's alive. This guy died back in July 1996, a few months back. And, well, he was very much alive. In September of 1996, he was going to hang out with Sam Duncan and Doug McRae. Once they had me arrested by the sheriff's department, for this alleged attack of Miss Cook there. They were going to have them a little celebration because they had planted some of the clippings of the wiring used to make the explosives for the Centennial Park attack. So when Deputy Eddie Harden obtained his search warrant to search my vehicle for this alleged weapon that I supposedly attacked Miss Cook with, they was going to find these pieces of wiring in the supply box in the back of my pickup truck, and they were going to say, "Oh, wait, what's this?" And of course, they were going to match it up to the wiring of the explosives of the Centennial Park attack. And of course, I was supposed to be set up for both the fake attack of Miss Cook and of course, the Centennial Park attack. But what they had not realized was on July 30th, 1996, I was officially assigned a case by the FBI. I was actually the top operative for the FBI over the Oklahoma City and Centennial Park attacks. Since they did postpone the attack to my daughter's birthday, like I anticipated they would once I arrived in Murphy. So once I got up there, they actually did not realize it, but they were actually unwittingly going by my playbook once I got up there. Every time they turned around and thought they was going to do something to set me up and get me convicted and sent to prison, they didn't realize that they was doing everything that I had told the feds that they would do before I even went up there. And they did. They did exactly what I told Nettles and Watson, and I forgot the director of the Mobile field office there in Mobile that they would do once I got up there. But the deal was that I could just somehow manage to trick them, which I really didn't have to postpone the attack from the 25th to the 27th.
Yeah.
The case would officially be mine. Even though I wasn't a special agent for the FBI, I was still special operations. So they were barking up the wrong tree anyway when they thought that they was going to set me up for the attack on Centennial Park.
Right.
Um, it
So
was
would you?
actually the FBI used a pickup truck um, exactly like mine. It had loaned my magnetic signs before I came down to Atlanta that week and spent the whole week including upholstery for that company. And they knew they had informants up there that had let them know that they was planning to set me up that week. So when I stopped at the Grizzly Bear gas station, there it's a hot spot now.
Was this before
Uh,
Francis died or after Francis died?
this was before
Oh, okay.
Francis was not killed until September the 23rd, 1999.
Okay.
There between Andrews and Topton, North Carolina. They had a cottage up there where Rudolph had been hiding out. And of course, I guess they would pop in and out and hang out with him. Um, but
Oops.
after we had our confrontations
I dropped my
between the
phone.
17th and 19th of September, and his mother, Pat Murphy, and sister found out just exactly what kind of monster he was. Andy Strassmeyer told some people he wanted to have a meeting with me. And I told him I would agree to a meeting.
What he was with the? What? He was with the CIA or something like that at Strassmeyer, or what? Who was he with?
No, Dave Holloway was CIA. They said
Okay.
it was rogue CIA. Now, Strassmeyer, he was Special Forces, German Army before he came to the United States. Now, he did try to get a job with the United States government, but they wouldn't hire him on. So he got with the group out there at Elohim City in Oklahoma, Robert Millar's group.
Yes.
And that's when they went from being Messianic Judaism, a religious group, to a radicalized group. In other words, they became an instrument of the deep state because they were planning civil war and revolution in the 1990s, to rip our country apart and, of course, usher in their New World Order. And, of course, thank God that I was actually, instrumental in, stopping that from happening.
Yes, thank God for that.
Yeah. But everybody told me, they said, well, he's going to meet you and they're going to try to kill you. And, but they said, but we're not going to allow that. And I said, okay, we'll set up a meeting. Our terms was nobody was supposed to be in that cottage during our meeting, which of course, I reneged on my agreement. I had, one guy hiding out in the shower, another one in the linen closet, and of course Holloway and Shelden were standing outside during Andy and mine's meeting that afternoon. And we actually, a lot of discussion was about my brother Brett and his roles and all that. And it was kind of strange that just right before the end of the conversation, Dave Holloway came in there to the kitchen area and he got up over and they tried to mumble where I couldn't hear them, but I heard Andy give them the order to get me when I came outside. So I knew they were going to kill me. They didn't know I had two guys there listening to them as well. So whenever Holloway stepped out, I guess started to step outside, that's whenever they killed him. And whenever um, Shelden stepped over, that's when they wound up killing him. So Randy came back, he sat down, and we finished off our conversation. And he told me, he goes, well, there's just nothing like dying for what you believe in. And I was like, yeah, but there's nothing like having a whole lot to live for. And that kind of puzzled him. I think right then he realized something was wrong. So we wound up shaking hands. I got up and I went walking out. And that's whenever I discovered the other two were already dead. And the guys looked at me and said, well, they ordered them. He ordered them to kill you. So what do we do with him? And I said, well, heck, I gave him a 20-plus year run to surrender that hydrogen bomb over there. Who say you won't try to come back and kill me again? I said, well, just go in there and take him out. So they went in and they killed Andy there inside the cottage. And of course, I had to go in and look at it because they cut him ear to ear, the throat. And that's how they killed Shelden, and that's also how they killed Holloway. So they had their throats slit. So it was silent deaths that they suffered. So 2 days later, of course, word got to Elohim City, and Robert Miller got a group of his degenerates to ride with him out there to Andrews, North Carolina, to execute me and retrieve their bodies because they were going to take all three back to Oklahoma and bury them there in Elohim City. But the local there in the community, they wasn't going to go for that. There was a standoff. There was almost a shootout. And once they realized they were outnumbered with guns, they're like, all right, well, if y'all want them so bad, you can take care of Shelden. We're taking the other two, and we're going back to Elohim City or Oklahoma, which is Elohim City. And that's where Holloway and Strassmeyer are buried at. And, I told my guys, they asked me what to do with them. I said, shoot, throw them out in the woods and let the animals, feed off them for all I care. I just don't have a whole lot of regard for people who will do what these people do to children. So I thought maybe somebody would find a skull in his bones one day, and they would eventually, since DNA testing was coming to light at that time, they would have been able to figure him out, and it would have been controversial, so everybody would know that he wasn't buried over in New Amsterdam. He had, in fact, faked his death. Some people kind of got upset and said, well, how do I write a report on killing a dead man? Because he was already supposedly dead. If I was cold-blooded murderer, I could have actually killed him in cold blood and got away with it because he faked his death.
Yeah.
So, it'd have been kind of hard for a state to kind of build a case against somebody like that in a situation like that, especially when they're wanted by the FBI.
Hey, also, I just keep scanning through there, for information, and I just found this information interesting. It says pornographic films enter magazines involving the use of children. New York Arlectel Bureau, April the 22nd, 1977. And it's got like closed for receiving officers or two copies each of investigative insert by SA and a Michigan State Police report interview with such and such. It should be noted that blank It's redacted. Francis D. Shelden, wealthy Michigan businessman who are heavily involved in homosexual activity and pornography with young boys. They need to understand that it's not that he quit saying homosexual activity. That he keeps saying rape with boys, you know. But anyway, I thought this was interesting right here. There were two things enclosed in New York, and one, let's see, four in Albany. It's got a number one beside it in Denver, but it's got enclosed, and then it's got a four right there. It said information, and then Knoxville enclosed. There's four. Los Angeles enclosed four. Charlotte, I guess that's North Carolina, probably. Enclosed four. One Phoenix, I guess that's Arizona. Closed four. Seattle, I guess that's in Washington. Four. Um, San Francisco closest four, and Detroit. It don't say information. It's like there's possibly pictures. There's four, and it's on page 145 through 961 and 88. You know, it's got right here the file the thing right here, the number here. And so it's like you find out more and more of this information, and you keep finding out more and more of these kids. So it is said that Frank Sheldon had ended up having some own that voice and voice thing in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, the boys farm there in Winchester, Tennessee.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what the name of it was. All of a sudden, I just forgot. But
Well, also it was connected to the boys town of Franklin, Nebraska, that is known as Franklin cover-up during the first Bush administration. That case was investigated by Senator John DeCamp, and um, Ted Gunderson, who was the director of the Los Angeles field office of the FBI. They later became colleagues of mine after 9/11, when I started, trying to get up evidence in Atlanta. Also trying to bring down the Dimleys there at Bentley Farm. But that was just too political and too impossible at the time. It has been ever since, because we're talking about the people who pretty much run the Georgia State Bar.
right.
Evidently, Junior, he's the DOD contractor who makes the silencers for the U.S. government. And of course, John Ramsey, he was the one who designed the microfilm computer software for Lockheed Martin, which is also used in all local and state governments throughout the country. And Lake Graphics were the ones who provided the services for Cobb, Fulton, DeKalb County. There, November 1994 and thereafter. And that's how I wound up meeting John Ramsey.
Yeah. I can say one more thing before we close up too. I didn't know if you knew this also, but in these documents also, it said something earlier about his affiliation with the Church of the New Revelation, the foster parents, or anything to do with juveniles, as far as you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's correct. I've heard of the Church of the New Revelation a bunch of times, even out at Rudolph. If you remember that back in October of 1991, the two black teenage boys who was being held over there in that one barn on Bentley Farms, that I, helped escape from that barn, they were going to be sacrificed. Well, they had been abducted out of the foster care system and had not been reported missing. So a lot of times when you have these cases of runaway children out of foster care and they're never found, you can figure that they're going to be buried on one of these, farms, ranches, or whatever you want to call them, that they never survived running away, so to speak.
Right.
And that's also what Nancy Schaefer and Rick White, everybody knows as Richard Jewell, had uncovered with my assistance after I got him reinstated as a deputy with the Habersham County Sheriff's Department.
Right.
Which was Macy's district. And we know they're both dead. Of course, so is her husband Roger. So that's how that halted until there started becoming a revival and exposure here back in 2018 about it. Now everybody is starting to learn about it, spreading awareness about it. And there's been a lot of outrage over the mishandlings of the displacement of children into the foster care because shit, I could pick up the phone if I got a grudge against somebody, call up Child Protective Service or DFACS, we call it here in Georgia, and tell them, well, oh, so and so over here, they're abusing their children, or they're not feeding them right, they're not clothing them right. No, and that's all it takes is that one phone call and a parent to let them in their home, and that's it. They will have to fight like hell to get their children back.
Yeah, and it could be like a false report too. It could be a false report.
That's right. I mean, it happens all the time. Sheriff Derek Palmer in Cherokee County Sheriff's Department there in Murphy, when he first got elected, the sheriff, he took his wife and appointed her over Child Protective Services there in Murphy. And there was some parents that they smoked marijuana, and they knew it, so of course they would get an anonymous phone call. They would go out, and next thing you know, they'd take one or both parents in, and one of them would fail the drug screen, with marijuana in their system, and they would just take the children and put them in foster care. Well, on the average, $4,000 is what it would cost to hire an attorney to go to the juvenile court and try to fight to get them back. And so, of course, a lot of times the parents would come in compliance and would pass the drug screens and would be able to get them back. Well, they just decided when they took the children that they could just go ahead and give them $4,000 and they would return the children. So that turned out to be, another Ponzi scheme in itself there in Western North Carolina. And it's happening across the country. Now, don't get me wrong. There are cases where children are taken from, abusive parents. If the organization would not be needed and in function if they did not exist. Right. But they do exist. So, it is needed, but not every child that is removed from a home is being removed from a dysfunctional home. Not all of them are abused. Not all of them are sexually abused by the parents, like is claimed.
Exactly.
And this is why we got the problem with the human trafficking in the United States right now is not from, them luring them out of their parents' home, which does happen, every once in a while. But it's really out of the foster care, foster parents, who are actually picked to go in and become foster parents for these children for the deep state for the sole purposes of human trafficking.
Right. Well, I think we need to go ahead and go. I gotta get ready. Gotta do something tonight and stuff, and I gotta start preparing for that. I want to thank you so much for coming in here and answering some questions. And I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think I'll be back from Alabama in time to do something Sunday afternoon. But maybe we could do something Monday again. If that's okay with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might work because I might be traveling over the weekend myself.
Yes.
I don't want to say where I'm going yet, but
Yes.
we'll be on official business.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you for having me on again. I hope that helps answer a lot of questions that your viewers may have. And I hope everybody stays safe, and I hope they, spread this knowledge around to their friends and family.
Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks.